Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Classic Quest podcast. This is the show where we break down the classic albums or albums we're curious about from ancient history of hip-hop, track by track. Give you our thoughts and opinions on every single one. My name is Holden Stephan Roy.
I am your lady friend, Bonnie.
And today, we will be talking about the first Roots album, Organix.
Yep.
So we're going to do our little intro bit. You can check the description of the video if you do want to skip that. But we do like to also start off every episode letting everybody know that we are not necessarily the most professional of people, in the sense that we're not trying to front like we know a thing or two. We just some people that at the end of 2016 started on this album review journey. Well, beginning of 2017 for this show. And then we just started doing it. And we just kept doing it and doing it and doing it right. And then we started learning, because people in the comments will tell you when you're being a little silly. And we listened and we grew and we understood, and more than we used to. We're not going to front like we fully understand yet. But I feel like it's just been this awesome quest of the classics that we can like look at, and
Hence the name, right?
but also like focusing on albums, which I think is actually a really interesting phenomenon, to like focus on albums in an era of singles, which is maybe backwards, but that's who I am. And I'm really enjoying the journey. So yeah, we care a lot about your feedback in the regards of how you can teach us and share with us. And even if you want to be negative, we'll learn from your words, because that's just how it works in life. You can either fight it or love it, the feedback. And y'all have taught us a whole bunch. So on that note, every time we'd like to read our favorite comment from last week's episode. Bonnie, what album did we talk about last week's?
Well, last week we did Jedi Mind Tricks, the psychosocial, chemical, biological, and electromagnetic manipulation of the human consciousness.
Good thing you were ready for it, eh?
Yeah.
So we discussed that, and on that we got a fantastic comment from Jermaine's Internet. Was it? So wow, I said it wrong. I'm so sorry. He left several comments, but one of them that I actually thought was funny because of the length of our videos. Classic album, no question. Nothing else needs to be said. And I'm like, sir.
We just spent like hours talking about it, so there's
Like
clearly
more
other
than
things.
2, but less than 3. Anyway,
Yeah.
hours counts.
But I also would like to say that there were other comments that I noticed. More importantly, or not importantly, but more noticeably, from two of our patrons, Lindell.
Try to like not pick the Patreon comments.
No, I
no
know.
offense, Patreon guys, but showing love to.
But like, I just want to say that they both had a similar thought. Lindell and
Ismail?
DJ Black Hurricane, I think it was.
Oh yeah, him too.
They both knew that I wasn't gonna like this album, which I find is interesting. That like you guys can kind of predict, or maybe am I that predictable?
Yeah.
That, I think sometimes I surprise people.
You do.
But
there was
for the
no
most
way
part,
you were going to like that album. Like there was
It's like you guys already know kind of what our preferences are, so
That's very sweet, but there was just no way.
it was cute that they both said it, and I was like, no.
I thought that was funny. Anyway, not to cut you off, I've been told recently I'm a dick on the internet again, and that makes me go, I should try to be less of a dick on the internet. Still, I really appreciate the comments though, and I thought it was just funny because he's right. In some cases, that album is in its own regard a classic, and really nothing else needs to be said. You hear it one time, it honestly explains itself why it's a seminally interesting album. You've never heard such a drunken array of intelligent language thrown at you, and when you break it down, it all made sense. I thought it was a hilarious comment, but then we talked for a while because that's what we do. Anyway, before we jump into it, special thanks to the patrons: Ismail Gadansi, Chris Prado, Jonathan Barnes, DJ Black Hurricane, Lindell Williams, and Coney Sparks. They support what we do. They almost always comment. That makes them cool. But, you know, if they're always commenting, we want to showcase a variety of comments and favorite parts of the day. Anyway, nobody asked for that explanation. Bonnie, what album are we talking about today?
Well, we are doing The Roots Organix, and this came out May 19th, 1993, so it's an old school one.
So, I feel like, 6 months ago, I reviewed, this is the part of the show, by the way, where we contextualize our familiarity with the artist, which we think is important because if you've been a fan of the Roots forever, you're going to feel a way about Organix, and if you're like me and you've never really listened to the Roots before, yeah, I know it's true, then it's a different experience altogether. So either way, about 6 months ago, I reviewed Black Thought's Stream of Thoughts Volume 1 and 2, his little long-ass, dense-ass, super intellectually driven EPs that he dropped recently, and I thought it was just riveting lyricism in the sense of, honestly, in the same vein of the Jedi Mind Tricks album, you really got to Google it all, but coming at it from, like, very different niches. So it's very cool that a lot of this spectrum can be done from, you really have to research that music to understand a point of view. Either way, I know he's on the Dude Show, the Jimmy Fallon show. The whole Roots is the band for that. I think it's Jimmy Fallon. And I know that for a long time, they were like the proof in the pudding that you could have a hip-hop band. In terms of just in conversations I had had with people related maybe 10, 15 years ago, the Roots was always brought up as, yeah, well, you can't say there's no bands in hip-hop, there's the Roots. However, jazz is not really my favorite genre of music. I know a lot of people love jazz, like love it. And I'll admit, because the way your brain processes music, the more you hear a particular sound, the more you will like it. It's kind of like the idea of beer as an acquired taste. Nobody really liked beer at first, but you end up learning to like beer.
Okay.
In the same way, I've been exposed to a lot of jazz on this journey through hip-hop. It's honestly unavoidable. So now when I hear jazz, I can vibe to it. I feel it more. I understand it. I feel like I've learned enough about jazz to appreciate it.
I have to bring you to like a jazz bar or club or something sometime.
If we could hook up in the bathroom, I'm totally down. But like, you just gotta bribe me right.
Aye.
Listen, every time I make these bold ass comments, I'm not gonna lie, they always somebody comments, it's so funny that you say that. I'm like, I do. This is me off camera too. It's true.
It's true.
But for real, well, anyway, I was almost going to talk in a different direction there.
Yep.
But basically what I'm saying is, I don't think I ever could have appreciated their music like before. I know I dibble-dabbled in hearing some stuff, but like, I never caught my ear because that, ew, it's jazz filter went off in my mind, and I never really allowed myself to listen to it. So I was curious, and then I said I would review a Roots album. And then 6 months came by, and lo and behold, on my normal ass takes forever to get there timeline, came through, and I felt so proud of myself. But I was super curious, like, these guys are such an influential thing. Like, everybody shouts them out. Everybody loves the Roots, and I'd never listened to them, really, ever. I've heard Black Thought as a featured artist on multiple projects now, so I know he's tight. But I never listened to these dudes, ever. And then Black Thought was on the Jedi Mind Tricks album, wasn't he?
Yep.
That's crazy talk.
Yep.
Anyway,
and this was my pick because I've been saying, like, let's do the Roots, probably for years now.
That's true. I forgot about that part.
And you were like, you pick. I got to pick this week, and so here we are. I was like, I wanted to finally do the Roots.
Did you really pick it?
Yes.
I completely forgot.
Yes.
Go on.
Anyways, because I had never listened to like their album, like I knew who they were. I'm pretty sure if like they were one of like the bands that was like featured on the Dave Chappelle show like back in the day. Like he had like those like little spots at the ends of his shows, where he had like bands or rappers or artists or whatever that were there. And I'm pretty sure they performed on there. Like I remember them in like a barber shop or something. Like I don't know if it was a movie or if it was a clip of something or if it was a skit. Like I have no idea what it was, but I remember them doing something in a barber shop. And like I knew who Questlove was because like he kind of like stands out as like the guy that everybody remembers, I think. Like he's just like this nice guy who plays the drums, and he's like, you know, always
she
has
has
like
a
that
thing
heart.
for drummers. Allow me to be abundantly clear.
I do love a drummer. And like he had like I think what the heart on his sleeve or on his heart, I don't know what it was. He had like a heart, and I don't know, and I think maybe he still does. I don't know if he still carries that thing on, but yeah, I think he's been around. Like anyways, like he's the guy that I remember, and then of course when I realized like that they were on like Jimmy Fallon, you know, whenever they showed clips of them, I was like, wait a second. I'm like, this is the Roots, right? Like, so I think that's really, really cool that he was able to do that. And like, definitely like a New York theme, you know, like over there, you know, they're both New Yorkers, or they're all New Yorkers, not just both.
They're from Philadelphia?
I thought like some of them, or I think some of them I think are from New York, right?
Maybe.
If I'm not mistaken.
I'm
I
just
know there
Googling
are
now.
some that are from Philadelphia,
So
because
Black
there's been a
Thought
lot of
and
people.
Questlove are from Philadelphia. I
Oh,
don't really know. Well, I mean,
well, my mistake.
well, it's just I
sorry,
have the lyrics to the
sorry.
first song open. Where
I know that they talk
he
about
goes.
Philadelphia.
Guess my and just spoiler alerts for the
Maybe
first
that's
track.
why
He
I just
goes.
thought they were from New York.
Makes you wonder about my number. Guess my address or my PO. Here's the tin. I'm from the Phila with a Del, but not the Rio. Guess what I'm talking here is where the fee go. And now we got the Philadelphia. Why not top it off with an A? And I'm like, nope.
My
Sing,
mistake.
sing,
My
Philadelphia.
mistake. My mistake.
I wasn't Jedi Mind Tricks.
Sorry.
Also
so
from
sorry.
Philadelphia. And that
I
was the
guess, yeah,
significance of
yes,
Black Thought.
Okay. Whoops.
And I was like, I just.
Okay, never mind.
But isn't Philadelphia still really near New York? I really don't
I
know.
don't think that
My
counts.
U.S. geography is fucking trash. Anyway,
Well, Philadelphia, I think, is near.
I'm trying
Chicago?
to Google it.
I think it's closer to Chicago.
I don't. Okay, anyway, go
Pennsylvania? I
on.
don't
Go
know.
on. Go on.
Anyways, that's pretty much it. That's all. That's what I've got to say. I haven't listened to their music, but I have been excited to, because I know that they are important and they're cool guys, and I just wanted to see like what they were like in their albums. So
Holy shit, Philadelphia is a lot closer to New Jersey than New York. I'm sorry, I literally just opened up Google Maps. I'm not really.
I can't place Philadelphia.
Like,
I thought
honestly,
it was near Chicago.
It's down. Anyway, y'all are probably laughing at us, but like, I'm in Canada, so why the hell do I need U.S. geography
Yeah.
for the most part?
Where's Saskatoon?
Everybody knows where that is, don't they? Do you guys know where Saskatoon is? I digress.
Where's Iqaluit?
I love this
Nobody knows
album
where these
cover
places
because it's honestly one of my favorite album covers that we've come
Huh.
across from its like sparseness. It reminds me of a vinyl.
You know what? I guess that makes
And
hold
then
on.
if you go into it even further, right? It's called Organix with an X, which is kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
But like if you think about what organic means before the hipsters jacked that shit, it's like authentic and raw in a sense, right? So they don't need to put anything on their album cover. It's black. That communicates something very
Oh
clearly.
yes.
And then the rest of it is just the Roots, Organics, and then the parental advisory thing, because you have to have that, especially with the last song on this album. Spoilers. Still, I think it says a lot. It says you're going to get some explicit content, and I almost feel like the parental advisory sticker is used in effect as part of the album art, which is not something you really see a lot of, right? Because it pops out. It's one of two elements on this entire album cover.
Mm-hmm.
The other part is them. So you're going to get Organics, which is pretty explicit. And in a sense, I know it's so not a thing, and normally I can't come up with insightful crap on album covers, but I'm the type of guy that likes a PowerPoint with white words and black text. This is a language I understand. Simple visual communication.
Yep.
And I really actually dig the cover a lot, and I love the title because having heard the album, I think it really fits with what we're going to be getting.
Yep, definitely agree. I do think that without really saying much at all, I think the color definitely kind of stands out as like the message. So I think that says a lot, and you know that they're going to be that this is, you know, representing Black people, and like this is, you know, like that kind of thing. Like it's I think it's significant, obviously. And I like the Organics because I think, you know, Organics and Roots, you know, kind of
yeah,
are
that's even
related.
really smart,
and, like,
'cause,
they're
like-
both natural and
Like veggies.
so, yeah, I guess so. So, I mean, that's what I was thinking about. So, I mean, it made sense in my mind.
No, it makes sense. I never thought of it.
Yeah, and that
Oh.
they're, you know, maybe they're of the earth or something like that. So, let's get into it, I guess.
So, Bonnie, the Roots is coming. The Roots is coming. The Roots is coming.
Well, I'm guessing here is like exactly where the fee go. Now, we got the Philadelphia.
It starts off, and you can hear some drumming and a bass and some funkiness kicking in. and it builds up, and it's just got like, the roots is coming, and like whispers it out, and it's real quiet, and it's slowly, like you can almost picture the mixer thing picking up in volume as it kicks in. And I said, and Bonnie warned me ahead of time, I said, this is jazz. Like, I don't know that I've had this like experience, because
This is very like jazzy, and like even like on like Wikipedia, it's called like jazz rap or whatever.
but there's something really profound that I noticed in Questlove's drumming, and it had a lot to do with just the sound quality, because we're talking about an era where where literally what the drummer plays is what's being picked up. And I say that because I watched a fascinating video recently in regards to rock mixing and is it better now or in the past. And let's say, on the exception of drums, everything in rock music sounds better now. But when you think about drums, they've made everything really perfect, in the sense that, like, there's a depth to the fact that not every hit is being hit with the same volume or like power, or like just the humanity of it, right? Like, it's impossible for you to be robotic in the way that you're drumming. And so what I was really noticing in the music, and maybe it's y'all jazz heads, this is what you love about it, was the aliveness and the freshness, and just, it was dynamic through imperfection. Like, it just felt it out in a way where if you were to mix that today, every drum hit that he did on a snare would be the same power. They would make the volume the same, and it would just come out like this crisp, super clear drum experience, which I don't think would be better than what I was listening to on this, where it had this like super depth to it, where every little individual note of the drum ends up having a personality. Is it going to be a hard build up, a soft one? Is he going to maybe slip up a half little note here and it kind of adds a cool funkiness to it? And then you realize, wow, man, this is really remarkable. And the bass line's funky and everything's funky coming in. Yeah, I know none of you expected me to go on about drums to this level of depth with actual commentary, okay? I expected it because I came up with it right before we recorded. But nobody else expected that, because I think it's just something beautiful that we should think about. And if we look at a lot of even just modern drum beats in hip-hop or all music, it's also mechanical. It's just too perfect. It's too math-based. There's an imperfection and an organic, organic rhythm here that I love. So sonically, it's not my favorite thing in the world to listen to by choice, per se. But in the experience of actually sitting there listening to it, I couldn't help but like get into it and start bopping my head and really just kind of lose myself in it. And then Black Dot raps, and my first thought is, holy shit, old man Black Dot does not sound like young man Black Dot, which, fair, understandable.
Yep.
But
times change.
It's so fresh, his flow. Like, okay, lyrically, I don't know that at this era he's 100% like killing me in terms of dope, fresh similes and metaphors and whatnot, but we did get a whole lot of that last week, and Bonnie's probably like, thank goodness. But what we're getting is like what I quoted at the very beginning with the fill it with the del, but not the Rio. Well, I'm guessing here is exactly where the fee go, but now we got the del fi now on top of it with the A, the Philadelphia grammatic straight from Philly. You know, silly rugged, then a hillbilly, and I'm like, it sounds excellent. Like, his voice feels like a jazz instrument, the way he has his timing and the way it just flows so in the same way as everything else I was describing with the drums, and everybody's kind of like that. It's just so goofy and fun, and like, we're the Roots, we're from Philly, we're about to blow up a clip from out the Millie, and I'm like, this is just a fun kind of goofy rhyme, but really does an effective job of letting you know two things. The Roots, who are from Philly, are coming. And I'm like, what else do you really need in an intro from a band? Because A, we've established that Black Dot, rhythmically speaking, is an instrument.
Yep.
Everyone else is just killing it on their various instruments. As much as there's a lot to be said for sampling, which I very much appreciate, there's a lot to be said for what these guys are bringing to the table. And more people in hip-hop, I don't know if there's a whole bunch of it, but I would love to see more bands coming through. Even if they just play trap music, just try out a band without perfect mixing. I would love to see what that would sound like personally. I thought it was a fresh-ass introduction, and I gave it a 4.35 on 5.
Yeah, I mean, I feel pretty similarly. I like the title, and it's definitely like the start of something. You know, this their debut album. This is their very first song, and definitely, they came, they saw, they conquered. Now that we're looking back and we can see that, that they've accomplished, quite a few things, and people know who they are, and they definitely made a name for themselves. And as you can see, they're still on Jimmy Fallon. And it's just fun. I like how they repeat over and over again, like, the roots is coming, the roots is coming. Like, I like that kind of stuff. It's fun. And it's very jazzy right away. So, and it's real instruments and, which they all use and play, and, which is great. I love that. And, then Black Thought comes in, and his flow is like super nice, and like exactly like you said, like I definitely agree with you that his voice and himself is part of the instrument. He's, what he contributes to the band is his voice, and so like it's not necessarily that one is more stands out more than the other, because they're every instrument, including his his flow and his raps and everything, is it's all great. So I think it's a pretty epic start to a pretty epic adventure for them. So I gave this a 4.5 on 5.
Hey, Bonnie, pass the popcorn. Get some butter. Throw on some of that dope-ass barbecue sauce. Not
right.
sauce,
I'll
I
be
meant
right
the
back.
powder.
I'm going to go get some popcorn.
Oh, the cheese one is better. Let's get some cheese powder up on that.
Around. It looks like another one coming around. It looks like another one coming.
Bonnie, I would like to pass you a popcorn.
I want real popcorn.
Here's the popcorn.
That's not popcorn.
It's popcorn. The Roots told me this was popcorn.
Fine. I'll take your popcorn.
Anyway, in case this ends up being some more audio, I was passing her a mic. Get it? Because it's the popcorn. Mm-hmm. It's the mic. Passing the mic between the MCs.
Yep.
Hey! I don't know. I don't really get it either. I don't know. Maybe y'all get it and I just don't get it. Maybe it's because popcorn is something we would pass to each other at a movie theater or something, or I don't know. I usually don't. It usually sits between
just get
us.
My own.
No, we shared popcorn before.
I guess.
Anyway, so it comes in and it's got this funky, fresh bass. Anyway, Bonnie, you talk, so I don't.
I mean, I don't know where the expression "pass the popcorn" came from. So it's a whole new thing that I'm learning on this one. I think this song is pretty nice. It has a good drum beat, which I like. It makes me want to nod my head to it. The rhymes, nice, smooth. It's pretty cool. I had never heard of Kid Crumb before, so he was new to me. So that was kind of cool. I like Questlove when he comes in. I think he's really cool. It's kind of nice to hear what he sounds like as a rapper. I feel like most of the time you just hear him drumming. I may be wrong, but that's most of the time.
The way they annotated it on Genius is this doesn't happen, and outside of this album there's not a lot of Questlove rapping. And I was curious to ask y'all, the internet people, because trying to Google how many verses Questlove raps on is a complicated question for Google to answer, believe it or not.
Yeah.
It's just not simple. Try it and let me know. Anyway, let me know the answer.
And he's pretty good, so.
But apparently this isn't something that keeps happening. So in a sense, it's kind of cool to start at the beginning where this happens. Mm-hmm. Whereas...
And they all just kind of spit sick rhymes. It's pretty cool.
From what I saw on Wikipedia, Kid Crumbs basically joins up for this album and is then not in the group after.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks for answering that. And this one just kind of makes you Like they're all just trying to like get you to move and dance, and like they're all just gonna like, you know, spit out other like the next rhyme like one after another, and it doesn't really stop. So I like this one. It was like really nice. It was like a fun song. It was kind of, you know, everybody kind of had like their moment to shine. So I give this a 4.35 on 5.
Yeah, I mean, my first feelings on this is that the band is really tight, and it really creates the kind of groove. I think the groove is the right word, and that's that, like, I guess, moment where everything just lines up in a perfect way, where you can just kind of listen to it and bop your head and almost get lost in the intoxicating nature of everything playing together. And they're just so tight, so they're able to just create multiple vibes that you're just riding. Like, you can, every time somebody's verse came up, they would almost just adjust shit to, like, you know, maybe this time it's gonna be bass focused, maybe this time it's the whole band kicking in, or maybe this time we're gonna focus a bit more on keyboards or whatever. I don't know if all that happened on this song. I'm just trying to describe it. I know the bass part happened. That was one of my favorite parts, because honestly, just the fat slap me in the face groovy basses that they're riding over, oh, it was just gorgeous to me to listen to. And in general, I really am impressed by that, to a point where, I'll be honest with you, on this album I had a lot of trouble focusing on the lyrics that were being said, mostly because I would play these songs 3, 4, sometimes I'd even play it an extra time for good luck, because every single time I would get distracted and not pay attention to the lyrics. And so I'm not going to be able to go as deep and catch every freaking awesome lyric, but stuff that did catch me is when he goes, yeah, the square roots be the setters of examples, finding rhythm in the static of your samples. So I feel like this song's a bit ciphery. Everyone just kind of does their verse, passes the mic around, and almost feels like they were just jamming and freestyling for like hours, and this is the result of it. Either way, the fact is, we want to be the setters of examples. We want to set a tone. We want to be something seminal in creation, and they did. They lived up to that. Finding rhythm in the static of your samples, making you move to the groove as we soothe the ear of the listener on the musical. I'm like, that's a really interesting but apt way to almost describe the entire experience of this album. Like, that's the whole review. What Black Thought just said there. Finding rhythm in the static of your samples. Anyway, that little lyric part there is insane to me, because it really does summarize a lot of what I feel about this. And what I like is the music is really about creating great music, and then also on top of that you have this general attitude of, like, you know, communalness, and then being able to pass it around. And to the brothers who ain't here, enough respect. So brother Quest, how you living, what you giving, Black? To me, the brother with the linears and the applejack, busy till the break of dawn. The first verse is poured as it passed the popcorn. And just, it's cool that he's about, yo, Black Dot, or is it, sorry, Questlove, is it Questlove or Brother Quest? I wasn't sure. Anyway, I don't really know.
I don't know.
I should have Googled that. Either way, so he passes the mic on, and then they do like their little chorus. It looks like another one coming around. And it's an earworm. It really does get stuck in your head, and it's fun, and it's safe, but it's also kind of just like cool. And he passes it to Questlove, and holy shit, this dude is smooth. Like, we're talking a smooth brother. And I'm sorry if that came off bad, but I don't know how else to describe it. Like, holy shit, like, his voice is like fucking butter. Like, he just glides over the beat with this, like, monotone, amazing tone. That tone that he hits is just perfect. And I just feel like his rhythm is dope, and the way what he's saying is fine, but, you know, it's just, check it out. Secondly, it's me, the brother Quest from the SQT. That's the square roots, apparently. And he's Black Dot, the boy you know is funky. The rhythms are recycled, sometimes prehistoric. The mic for the popcorn like it's metaphoric. And it's just, it's not the most profound shit. It's just saying we're going to say profound shit is kind of what he's doing there.
Okay.
But the way he's saying it is just so amazing. It is just amazing. And I'm like, damn, his voice is cool. And I know he comes back later on the album, and it feels the same way. Then, you know, the chorus kicks back in. This time they like hand it off to Kid Crumbs. He does his verse. It's totally fine. I don't know. I liked when he goes, I'm gassed off the edible raps, that's illegible. Tommy used to bug when I come around, screaming at the top of my lungs. You guys to get down. Now that I heard the sound, I want to get the pound on the down low. So if I understand, he doesn't like fake shit, and then the record label now hits him up, because Tommy, I think it's Tommy Boy Records, I might be wrong. Now that he's popping, they care. You know, like, they didn't care. Back then, they didn't want me. Now I'm hot, they all on me type thing. Either way, and it just, flows, and I don't have a lot more to comment because it flows. And then Black Dot comes back and it's all groovy and it's almost like a completely different vibe. And I don't know if he says a whole lot that's insane to me, you know, a bit from a hit, making it legitimate and give credit to the attitude he said it, don't forget, well, it's got to be live because that's the way I'm rocking it, and popcorn is in my pocket, I guess it's rocking, you know. I mean, this is not the type of lyrics I go out of my way to remember, generally speaking. So it's hard for me to, it's just fresh though. But if we talk about it from a cadence flow perspective, and we talk about it from everything but what he's saying perspective, I'm really impressed. I love the way he glides on that beat. I love the way that they just give off this essence where it's just off the dome on every lyric. Like, it doesn't matter. It's just like they're part of the band, just grooving. And on that regard, it's super amazing. And I really want to give it its credit because I don't want to sound like I'm shitting on it. It's just, y'all know me. If you do watch this, I'm used to a certain degree of not this in my lyric analysis. I give this a 4.5, honestly. I don't really care. They could have been rapping phone numbers and shit, and they would have made it sound good, and it would have been awesome. Honestly, they could have said anything, read me a menu, and they just would have known how to done it right.
Yeah.
So I'm giving this a 4.5 because I think in this case, a lot of the credit has to be given to the band and the grooves. Oh yeah, you already went first.
Yeah.
So
let's talk about the anti-circle.
Which is kind of like the square root.
Kind of.
With your spotter, with your peepers is the creeper. Stomping on the ground, smoking a quarter-pound reefer. Mr.
Bonnie, how do you feel about this jazzy, funky experience?
So, according to someone on Genius, the
You should just say their name. Quote this genius person.
I didn't get their name. Let me just double check their name.
Might it be the
Probably
genius
is.
person, Particle Face?
Probably. Let's just say that it is. And the anti-circle is a square. The roots used to be the square roots.
Get it?
So, yeah, that's interesting. And I think that, you know, the square roots definitely sounds a lot more nerdy. And the roots sounds a lot more cool. So, and like, you know, obviously like representing like who they are and like their roots. And maybe like, you know, they obviously, or I'm guessing, you know, in my mind, that they obviously have, you know, their heritage, their roots are in jazz music. And that's kind of why it gets incorporated into the new rap music. So, I don't know. I think it's really cool. They've got really nice rhymes. You know, Black Thought always is great. At the like the following line, I'll just read this one. I grab it and snatch it and inspect it like gadget. I work the magic, the mic, I must have it. I thought that was really cool because exactly what you're doing. I think it's like the bass does like the tune to like Inspector Gadget, and it's like makes it really
wonder
fun.
if they got sued. Because the way I understand copyright law, even if you're not sampling it, playing that particular melody might be enough to catch a case.
I hope not. That's so stupid if they were. But anyways, it just makes it sound like they're so much fun and like they're like lighthearted and like they're cool guys and they're kind of nerdy. Like it's just like it's cute that they did that. And the whole song is like nice. So it's a fun song. It sounds a little bit more like juvenile, not just because of like the Inspector Gadget thing, but like maybe just because they are younger, you know, obviously like at this point it's 1993. But they're still really cool and I like it. You know, Black Thought again is, I think I'm going to say this a million times, is clearly a talented rapper. You know, and I think it's really cool that they're kind of talking about the anti-circle and that they're doing something different. Like they're not quite, you know, it's kind of like a, what is the expression, like the square peg and a round hole or whatever it is, so that they're going to be a little bit different, and I think that's what they are, and I think that's what makes them stand out as so unique and great. So I give this song a 4.35.
I appreciate lyrically this one more because I feel like it's more focused and there's more of a point to prove, and I like how in this era of hip-hop it feels like half the tracks are goofy ass flossy like I'm fun rapper, and then the other half is like some serious shit thrown in. You know, like, I don't know if you've noticed that also, but I kind of enjoy that part of it, and it's a really smart tactic because it lets you hit everybody on an album. But I really like when he goes, Derelict's on the tip trying to diss the mad skit, bust a skit. How many licks do it take to make a fake realize he can't shake, bake, or penetrate the style I demonstrate on a regular basis, and face it, he ain't no competitor. I'm like, that was it was just fun the way he busted it, but the fact that he did the Tootsie Roll thing, like the how many licks till you get to the center of it, whatever, and then follow that up with just shake, bake, which is like shake and bake or penetrate, you know, and I don't know, something about it I thought was just really fun and enjoyable to listen to. And overall, I like his flow again. I think the way he's rapping is just super dope. Like, it's just super, like, you can just sit back, kick back. I imagine if you light one up, it's an incredible experience while listening to this funky, jazzy, whatever. So I can see how people into THC are quite into the roots as well.
Okay.
And is it? I guess it's a plant. It's like a root. It's not really a root. It's more of a plant.
I suppose. Yeah.
Anyway, I just kind of like it flowing, and then the hook just has like this old school chant along kind of thing, from the square to the circle to the square, you know, and it just feels like if they were playing this live, everybody would just sit there and let the crowd scream it out, you know, and it would be like everybody would just know it, and they would know it after the first time they heard it. It's not like, we could even like do it right before the hand and do a practice round. Like, it's a really smart and clever hook. And it hooks. It's also a little bit of earworm. And then it flows through, and I don't know, Black Dog comes back with another verse, and I just kind of enjoyed him, you know. What you spot up on the beeper is the creeper stomping on the ground, smoking a quarter-pound reefer. Mr. Five Finger, lead singer, noise maker, number one, rum, rush, now you must hush. I don't know if he's talking about something specific there, but I still like the way he said it. It feels, again, like he's coming at people who aren't very good, and then he's better. Blacker than a bean, still I never sweat coffee. I like that. I like that point of view. So he doesn't consume it, but he still kind of relates it to a coffee bar is what I took from that. The fourth be following the third word, second after first. Yo, never rehearse a verse, and then I'm freestyling because my verse is diverse. I'm versatiling. I thought that was fresh because he's almost like, kind of like he doesn't have to write. He just flows, and it just comes out really, really dope every single time. Then the Inspector Gadget bit, and then it flows out. And I like how the song kind of ends with the Inspector Gadget kind of theme song playing. I thought that was really fresh. Also like when he goes, can't you know I'm quick to put the kid down and to put whack rappers in containers with the lid down. And I thought about that, and I'm like, that's a good line, right? Because that's what you do to keep food fresh and keep it locked away and away from whatever. And you do that to a rapper, then you can't hear him, you know. So I seal it. Can you feel it? And I'm like, oh, and he seals it like a sealed container. Anyway, I just kind of liked it. And I like the fact that he ends on a mad train, the black dot, mostly because, if I'm not mistaken, that kind of ties into the next song on the album, which we will discuss when we get there. But unless I'm mistaken, it really does tie into that, which is kind of really clever.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone did that on purpose or whatever, but I really, really did enjoy it. So overall, I liked it a little less than the last one, but I gave it a 4.35. Like, I can see how this is masterful music. Like, we're talking stuff that is very well made. Just keep in mind, we're talking about stuff out of what I've listened to in my comfort zone of enjoyment. But I'm still loving it to the point where I'm really blown away and impressed and like, wow. Like, that's my overall feelings on it. Anyway, let's talk about Writter Writer's Block.
All right.
Special guest, the Roots on the Soul Train. John.
Because he's on a train on this one, so it makes sense. Train, got it, caught a thing there. Okay, Bonnie, tell us your whole thing about the title.
Oh.
You made me look at pictures and everything. I'm trying not to steal your thunder.
Yeah, so I couldn't find anywhere whether it was actually Ritter's, Writters block, or whether it was Writer's block, because I was like, on like Wikipedia, it said something different than what it said on Genius, and then like what it was saying, like it was just different everywhere.
She showed me a picture
and
that
so
had...
I googled like what the back of like the album actually looked like, and then it said Writer's Block, and I was like, okay. And then I like found another picture of like the tape insert where it said Ritter's, and like no apostrophe or anything, and like it was like, I don't know. Was it Ritter's? Is it Writer's? Is it just like a typo? I'm guessing that's what it is.
Still.
But anyways, that's what I caught and paid attention to and spent time searching for, instead of anything that actually counts. So that's what I did.
What about the song? Do you have feelings about it?
I do. I have feelings. I thought this one was really fun. It's quite jazzy. And I think it was kind of interesting, like the way that they sort of interchanged like a couple of different thoughts into the song, like how they sort of made it, or some of the imagery of like the passage of slaves on ships coming to America or to the United States or whatever, and at the same time the passage of people on the subway train, going to work or wherever you're going, and because somebody was like dripping an umbrella on him and he's just like, sir, so that's kind of, I don't know, I thought it was neat the way that it sort of was both at the same time. I really liked the beat. I thought it was really cool, and he doesn't really have writer's block because he's writing so intensely that he missed his stop, and he couldn't even, he was he couldn't get off, and he had to take the bus back, I guess. So I like it. I thought this one was cool. I like they're also great with their instruments. Like they're just really talented musicians, and I think that's what stands out the most, and a little less like what this the whole story is about. But that's I think that's part of it. So I give this a 4.3 on 5.
This one has like this spastic, upbeat, cliche jazzy sound. Like what I mean by cliche jazzy sound is like I would picture some high-end hoity-toity crap, like kind of like build up, like like in an art movie.
Okay.
Like I don't know a lot of, I don't know, it just doesn't, it isn't the jazz I like the flowiness of the other jazz. This has a different emotion, and I get it. It's very spastic and shit. It's just so different. But I like the way Black Dot flows over it, like up, and then he just builds up I step, up I walk, up I climb to the platform on which I wait the arrival of the Black Line, 2000 the Abstract Night Train, and the way he does it like that, very fascinating, very like cool in the way he flows it, and he really does, kind of relate the idea of like the imagery of all these people together packed into a subway car, something comparable to being packed into just the slave ships, and comparing, I guess, the modern drudgery of people playing their part in a system and not being rewarded through this, whatever, kind of relates to it. Like he sees that from his point of view. But it's true. Then he goes, damn, brother, excuse me, brother, would you mind not dripping your umbrella into my lap? Now, where was I? What? Change to spare? Man, you better change your mind, change your plan, change your attitude. So it's like some homeless guy he encounters or whatever, drips his umbrella on him and then begs for some money. And he's like, no, hold up. You can be better. You can change everything. And then he changes his seats and he changes his Walkman, and then all of a sudden it's like they're back in time on the Soul Train show, and they're kind of there, and then he's macking on a girl, and then he's just flowing, and then he misses it. And I'm like, that is a pretty clever, and it's very short compared to the other songs, and I thought it was just so interesting and riveting, and it was like an experience. I don't know if I like it as a song, but I like it as an experience, and I gave it a 4.5, and it's something I would listen to again. It also
that's cool.
Seemed like, okay, in the movie Bodied, which we're going to continue talking about and haven't forgotten about that review, part 2, when he does the spoken word poetry, it sounds like that's what Adam in that movie wants to be, is like writer's block on the roots here, and I thought that was really awesome. So 4.5 on 5, it just is jamming the fuck out, and it's dope as fuck. Anyway, next up, we have a prelude to a song called Good Music, and it's called the Good Music Prelude.
Yep.
We get a little 1-minute verse here. Kicks up. It's like super percussion-y, like really just like the drums super smashing in, like the way that's mixed in. And then Black Dot kind of raps over it, and I feel like he has such a distinct mix on his voice. Like they did something to it where it's compressed or something in a weird way that stands out from the way he sounds on the rest of the album, and I thought that was noticeable. And then he just rhymes and flosses, on the actual swings like I'm satchel, because satchels swing as you wear them, I guess. But I don't know if it's because it's pronoun, so I don't know if that's a real thing. But either way, it brings groovy things to my people on the natural, inclined to align index to other flowing through beats. The butted kid got yet another bid to serve in a groovy stew. Peace to all the kids who smuggling Buddha across the border, because it be's a remedy to Cola Rhoda. I don't know. Sounds like he got really stoned and just kind of spit and grooved again. And yeah, I think it's really fun to listen to. He's got a nice little thing here. It's kind of short. I don't know why it's a prelude to the other one, but I do like it in the sense that it's like a little, just like a verse that just smacks you in the face for a quick minute, and then it bounces out, and you're like kind of left with this feeling of, what just happened? At least I was. I mean, I give it a 4.15. Of everything I've heard, this is something is the first one where I'm like, I don't know if I really enjoyed that or not. It was there. It was nice. It was a good drum pattern. Don't get me wrong. But it was just weird sounding to me a little bit in the way that it was mixed on the voice, to a point where I enjoyed it a little bit less. So maybe I come off like a hater. Oh well. I do in general like the sound of this album. Anyway, what did you think for this?
I mean, kind of similar. This one I think it's just the drums and Black Thought, so it's just Questlove and Black Thought here, and he's just kind of spitting, and he's flowing through, and there's nothing that's like, I don't know,
maybe
outstanding on the.
Can I just interject to myself? Maybe it's because it's like an ode to their starts, the roots of the roots, and if I'm not mistaken, I read that it started with Black Dot spitting and Questlove kind of doing drum patterns and shit, and that's kind of like the beginning. So if we think about it, a prelude to the good music that we'll get on the next track, this is the beginning part, just the kind of rhythm and him spitting on top of it, like a throwback to where they come from.
Yeah, I mean, it could be. Anyways, I gave it a 4 on 5. I thought it was okay.
Well, now that I think about that, I think it's like really cool. I don't enjoy it more, but I think it's cooler than I thought it was, and it makes more sense to me now that I put that into perspective in my brain. Even if I'm wrong, that's cool. Next up, though, is the track Good Music, the one that I was going to say it, okay?
Well,
fine.
I beat you to it.
Now we got to make our exit.
All right, Bonnie, what do you think about this song?
Well,
You should probably not do that, actually.
this is just some good music. That's what I was gonna say. Because that's what it is. This is just something like, I don't know. It's just really cool and groovy and just like music to like chill out to, which they kind of say. It makes me think of like music that I would like put on, or that somebody would put on at sort of like a relaxed, sort of chilled out barbecue or something like that. Like that was like my like. That's where I would listen to this. And like there's sort of like a lot of like freestyling going on this one, and it's just like some good music. So I gave it a 4.2 on 5.
I mean, I feel like there's more to it than that. I feel like we get a bit of actual like goofy storytelling and stuff, but in general, it feels like I love the hook or the chorus. Does anybody like real music, sweet music, soul music? You know the Roots is a group that'll choose it just to use it and make you move it. Yeah. And what it really makes me think of, and I know this came first, but is Soul Food from Goody Mob, and the idea of like that soulful, back almost like to the roots of like the authenticity of what stuff's supposed to be.
Right.
And I feel like part of it is actually having a band, in a sense, right? Like in a world where everything's now being sampled and whatever, does anybody remember the music, with that authentic soul kicked into it? And I wonder if it's almost taking like shots at hip-hop in a sense, not to like take shots at it, but just to remind people that there's more than one way to maybe flip this shit.
Well, I think it's also too like they're demonstrating like the brotherhood of music, sort of like they're putting like they're they have a big group and they work with other people who are also in groups and things like that.
But I like how he goes, yo, Buster that digs hip-hop and rocks the hip-hop, not R&B, because to me that's not my style, and the R-double-O quotes ain't for radio. But Major Soul and the one that's hip won't change the dial. I remember one morning at the Soul Shack cooling in the anyway. So he's kind of pointing out the part of the hip hop culture. So maybe I'm wrong, but not into the R&B, not into the pop. They're not really trying to make radio-friendly music. They're just trying to do some shit. And, you know, they're cooling out for people who want to smoke a spliff and just kind of vibe to it and enjoy the feel and to roll on through it. Black Dot does the first verse, the second verse. I think he does the third verse with only Kid Crumbs doing the bridge there. And as it flows through, I feel like the song kind of evolves in tone. So Black Dot on the second verse, you know, kind of is like, from the subway to the studio, got to break fast if we want to get to the bus, running like a Mex for the border. I wonder if we could get away with that today. Actually, it's not that bad, I guess, but it's still kind of bad. Was it a bunch of us? Nah, just the four of us. Not, you know, and just kind of like picturing them running for the bus, trying to, you know, get down to the studio. Some girl catches them. He's like, oh shit, yeah, we are the Roots. That sounds like a good thing, you know? Then, you know, Questlove does some little ad-libs there, which I thought were fun, and just kind of feels so back and forth, like they're just trying to goof around and have a good time and make some fun music.
Yeah.
And then in the third verse, it feels like they're just vibing, like they're in a jam room, they're having a good thing going, and they just hope that nobody, like, interrupts them, which happens, and then it just evolves and goofs off in a whole different direction. And I just really appreciated the soul feel of it, the aliveness. Like, it just felt like this is a song in reverence of the group making some music together. Thinking back,
good music together.
And then if you think back to where they come from on the little prelude, it's cool. It's like we came this far from that to this, and I'm like, this is a really actually kind of like dope experience. I thought it was fun to listen to. It's 4.35 on 5 to me. It's so well made, and I suppose as I get more into jazz, in a couple more years, I'll be able to come back and even appreciate it even more. In the meantime, considering, have you given your grade? You did.
I sure did.
Right. So in the meantime, considering how many people bring it up, I feel like we gotta learn all about the grits and get some on.
Yeah.
Let's get the grits, yours. Say what? Bust it, let her. Brother, tell another. You know the.
Did you figure out what the grits were
Well, I mean, it's food.
in this song?
I think it can mean several things in this song. I think it does. I think they do refer to grits as grits. But I think sometimes it's sex, vagina, ass. It's whatever.
I think it's ass. I think it's girls.
Yeah.
There was somewhere in the intro, I'm trying to find it, but where they kind of go and like relate it to skins. And I'm like, I know what skins is because we talked about
And it's
blunts or stunts or whatever.
Yeah, but like just like the imagery, because like, I mean, from what I've never had grits. It's on my bucket list of things to do. And I'll have to try it in all of the different ways that they suggest to try it, you know, with butter or with cinnamon or whatever else.
That looks good. It looks like mashed potatoes.
Yeah, it looks like mashed potatoes. It doesn't look like a vagina, is what I'm saying.
But it could look like the creamy.
If it looks like that, there's something wrong.
Anyway, but here's the thing. Levels often fluctuate to surplus from deficit, rated with the X as the extra explicit grits, and I slides, and I slips, and I dives, and I dips into it being grits. And I'm like, that's kind of like a sex innuendo there, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm just saying. With buddies, slip up in the grits and make 'em others. Some people call it skins, but grits is the other term that you got to learn to keep up on all the scoop. So you got to know that now grits is the way that you're going to be talking about the woman, is what I'm understanding from this track. I get a little ends but never spends loot for the wiggle. Some immature kids like to laugh, so they giggle for the grits when they get close. So we learn he doesn't like to spend money on ladies, and immature kids can't handle ladies and they giggle. I love it when rappers say giggle. And I'm like, it actually took me like, it was like, I listened to it 3 times and I'm like, I don't know what the fuck this song's about. Why is it
Well,
all
they're
this
each kind of like describing like their scenario with like
women?
women.
But it didn't click until like the 3rd or 4th time, and then in the 4th time I went through and I realized it was about sex, and I'm like, oh, because I'm like, I don't know, it's just such a goofy song.
It is, yeah.
And then Malik Blunt, yeah, likes to unzip it, strip it, grip it. To be specific, I won't lick it, so get the ticket. And as is the usual, men are going on about how they won't eat your vaginas. That's I guess the thing. Men are past that post Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne proved if you rap about eating the vagina, the women come to your show. That's facts, actually. Flip it like a coin, put the loins in the groins. In other words, the groins I stretch. Now you gets the sketch. I'm like, this is so fucking weird. It's pretty awesome, right? Why? Because I kind of know what this song's about, and there's actual commentary I could make because it's some goofy sex puns like, peep this hick whose name was Vicky, getting tricky, rather slicky. Her performance showed endurance. She said, me like to licky, body more gracious. So should I say bodacious? Took my order, then she sort of served me like she was a waitress. And I'm like, this is awesome. This is like dude spitting shit in a 1980s fucking comedy movie. It's amazing to me. Maker of the pastries, so I call her Pastris. And I'm like, what a weird lyric. Still enthused, so I get my cruise on. POLO blues on. But I choose to move on. I put my shoes on. Protection against infection. Very important. I'm glad that somebody's wearing a Jimmy hat in this. I digress. It's really funny. Then Questlove comes in and does his thing. I'd be lying if I told you I could not prepare a fat bowl of sticky grits for a quickie. So he's gonna light up some wheat and smash. Humans get picky and judge about a thickness, but if it bends your spoon, then add some butter with the quickness. Love it. Do you know what Questlove just said there? It's actually pretty profound.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what people think about the women that you intercourse with.
If it
and
makes
some
your
people,
dick hard,
if it
she's
makes your dick
A-okay.
hard, just smash. That is some real love that's being given out there. And I really just love his smooth voice. It's everything I said the last time. And then humans gotta know I keep my bowl full of grits, swinging with their daughters while their parents throwing fits.
telling me to change my diet plan to bran cereal.
Or rice.
I tried that twice. It didn't work. In fact, it made my milk kind of sour. Like, what?
Half and half, part creamer, part schemer. That's why if it's grits, then it gotta be organic. Because if it's artificial, I panic. I think somebody's like, use sex toys? Or don't fuck my daughter?
Like, I don't know.
But
I don't really know.
If the pussy isn't organic, I don't want it. That's what I took from that. And I thought it was amazing. I just thought it was amazing, okay? It's so weird, all right? But it's so well rhymed and fun. And he's just got that, telling me to change my diet. Like his voice is just, and you're like, what is he saying? Then Pazzy Plant shows up. And it's when he goes, Similac until my Jimmy grows fat, grab my pack of hats, that I realized the song was about sex. I'm like, okay, kick a cat, but I won't lick a cat. I'll figure. And I'm like, why don't these guys eat pussy? Why does nobody want to eat pussy? I don't get it. Anyway, I don't die swift, and I'm not a quitter, so let me place my hands upon that waist. And I'm like, oh, okay, it's about sex. And then they end the song, and I'm like, did this happen? Was this a real thing? I kind of like it when the internet lets me talk about goofy shit like this because it's just fun. But I give it a 4.25. It is definitely a standout sex song because there's so many memorable moments on it.
It's a weird sex song.
It's just so memorable. It's like the most inobtrusively non-misogynistic sex song ever, too. Like, honestly, they're very respectful of the women in the way that they present it, too, except for their... I mean, you know what? To be fair, you don't have to want to perform cunnilingus. It's not like an obligation.
You do you.
But in my experience, she'll choke on it 3 times as fast if you do. I'm not supposed to say that with you around. Anyway, go on.
That's pretty much it. So it's just basically like a funny kind of play on words. It's a really nice, fun beat. It's interesting. It's definitely different from, other things that we've heard before. And, everybody kind of gets a chance to rap on this one. So, that's fun for everyone, I guess.
Malik didn't rap.
Oh, he didn't rap. Yeah.
But he's in the band.
Yeah. Well, anyways, a bunch of people got to rap. And, I give this a 4.2 out of 5. I mean, it's funny. It's definitely a new one. You don't usually hear grits compared to vaginas. But, hey, that's what it is.
It's okay, baby. We can come up with creative ways to describe intercourse all the time. But that's irrelevant. The question is, what happened to Leonard's 1 through 5?
Yeah.
Don't think so, because the sound from the ground is like reload, and when the liquid kicks in.
I'm gonna say goofy is also another word I would use to describe this song. I don't mean goofy in like a bad way. I know goofy can be perceived as like a negative term or whatever. I think it's silly fun, right?
Yeah.
Like Leonard I-V, which I've never heard of, as I understand it, is a satire movie where it starts off saying Leonard's 1 through 5 are so fucked up. It was like
it was so, I think it was like...
It was destroyed, classified.
It was too classified.
Or whatever. Yeah. So basically it was kind of, that. So that's like the premise of the hook. So, but why he does that is because the verses are all kind of like more serious, but then he kind of ends them all with, but at the same time, I got this fat question. Whatever happened to Leonard's part 1 through 5? Like, as much as he's whatever, he's also a fun guy that you want to just chill with, which I thought was a cool side to it. But lyrically, it's got this upbeat kind of, musically, it's got like this upbeat kind of feel to it. And he's just like, from the never, never tunnels via satellite, ceremonies be commencing in the kind of light. Yo, his eye is up, is the resin jewels tonight. Absolutely, because I'm the kid that's on the mic, and I believe it's destiny that I got put in a position to throw lyrics on a shot put. Yo, no matter the circumstance, thought you can always make you dance. And it's cool. It's like, he recognizes, what I really like in that part is how he's like taking it like this is a gift that's been given to him. So he's out there trying to like use his voice to actually have it represent something. And then, if you dig the shit I'm saying, you'll be deeper. Wish for a little, your wishes will be granted. We plant the seeds, y'all, to grow the roots, y'all, and mad knowledge I got from the archives. So it's like prepping you up for like your typical, all right, I'm anointed, I got the knowledge, I'm ready to go. And then flips it on your head with the Leonard's 1 to 5 question, which is just hilarious because all things considered, it's just so goofy. And I like it because it's creative, and it's also letting you know in a really deep way. Like, you're allowed to just kind of wonder about the goofy shit too. Like, not everything has to be a certain way. And I feel like by letting you enjoy just that kind of goofy chorus, it really does show how imagination can foster in a lot of different ways. And I like how they plug like the idea that they are going to give you the knowledge that will be the roots that grow in the plants of power in your life and shit. Anyway, I thought it was cool. Second verse is kind of in the same vein and shit. Chariot, come swing low, cause it's on the lower level that I swing low. Question keeps me up on the swing flow. No got a whole name, but I call him bro. Oh, and basically the entire way through this verse, he pretty much ends shit on the O. Down to going, there was alpha to omega motion system, but I just call them A to O, get it, alpha to omega. And then I'll stays the roots of Rocco Fat Show because I drop out like I was Pablo, and Pablo's last name was Picasso. That is a lyric that he was not necessarily full of ideas at that period of moment, and he was grateful that he could get 2 O lines out of it. I'm just saying. Right, because Pablo and his last name was anyway. And then he ends with, where did Leonard parts to 5 go? And then he starts off the third verse. Where's the third verse? Here it comes, here it goes. The second had oodles of, speaking of O's. And then I'm like, wow, he started the whole beginning of this verse to reference the core rhyme scheme of the second verse, like he was going to keep it going and be redundant, and then made fun of himself and went on to say, we're original, we're not like De La Soul, we're the roots, give us respect. So I'm like, what just happened there? Where did that come from?
That's pretty much it.
And I'm like, respect, you're definitely not De La Soul. I really like this one. I thought it was super enjoyable. I felt it. I gave it a 4.5 on 5, and now I want to watch Leonard I-V so I can find out and wonder for myself, where did 1 through 5 go?
Yeah. I mean that's a a movie, some weird movie that I've never even heard of with Bill Cosby. So I probably won't be watching it. I'm not necessarily a big supporter of him these days. But that's me. So yeah, and just kind of what happened to the other ones. It's basically like the summary of this song. That's a conundrum here. So I think that like right away, I think that definitely dates it. So does this make like this song a classic? I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I don't really like the beat on this one either so much. And then obviously like the whole thing about like people were thinking that they sounded like De La Soul, but I guess not. But I'm guessing like that was something that they were compared to at the time, to maybe similar sounding bands, but not quite the same. And yeah, I mean, it was okay. It was not my favorite one, but I mean, it's fine. It's well put together. It's a 4 on 5 for me.
All right, so I guess that'll bring us to the end of the first part of this review, because we basically have the other half of the album to get through, and I know there's at least 2 short songs on there, so it's a good part to cut it here.
Yeah.
Thank y'all for watching so far. We look forward to seeing your comments, what you think so far, anything you want to say. Feel free. If you're excited for Pokemon Sword or Shield, let me know which one you want to get. Anyway, if you like this channel and you want to see part 2, hit the subscribe button so you'll be notified. Hit the like button if you did. That's cool. It tells YouTube we're cool. And then special thanks to the patrons: Ismail Gadamsi, Chris Prado, Jonathan Barnes, DJ Black, Hurricane, Linda Williams, and Coney Sparks. The support will be due. Helped us get a new camera, get to tell us what albums to review, soon gonna pay for our site. If you want to support us and you want us to become cooler, there's a good way to do it. I'm at music myself. You can check that out in the description of this video. On that note, we're gonna go get ready to record part 2 now. So see you soon.
Bye, guys.